I saw this leaflet and I was like, shall I do this? And it said a 1,000-mile walk, and I was very flippant, and I went, oh, that'll be really easy. I've been involved in doing charity stuff for all my life really, because it's just a nice thing to do. But I had an interesting upbringing where I sort of like had to run away from, you know, sort of parenting and stuff like that. Because it was quite tough times back then. When you're growing up and you're being told you're useless all the time, it's sort of in the back of your head that you're useless. You can either be a victim of that, or you can actually use that and better yourself. I wasn't the sort of person to say when I was on the streets, I wasn't that person asking for money. I did a Sahara trek in 2013 for Marie Curie cancer. I believe what the foundation is doing is giving opportunities to people who can't generally afford these things. I created a walking group called Quinton Walks. It's all about community. I think everything's about, for me, it's all about community and everybody just doing their bit really. Consistently 5 miles every day for a year. And that's when it doesn't sound a lot until you start doing it.
Phil, thanks for joining me today and at the Moors ground. And first of all, just talk to us about why you're doing this such charitable cause, I guess, for the Moors Foundation. Yeah,
so I've been involved in doing charity stuff for all my life really, because it's just a nice thing to do. I think we can all live our lives and we can just go about our lives pretty blind, I expect sometimes. But I think if you just give that little bit extra sometimes to other people, and anyone can throw £20 at something, anyone can throw £50 at something, but by giving someone your time, I think time is the most important gift you can give anybody. So I think the fact that, by doing charity events and doing these type of things, I think it's just good to it's for your own mind and for your own headspace. I think sometimes it's just nice to go out and do these things.
So how long, I guess, have you been doing this for?
Well, I did my first trek. I did a Sahara trek in 2013 for Marie Curie cancer, and we raised I personally raised nearly about £5,000 for Marie Curie back then, give and take all the extras that we found afterwards. And it was just I just think it's just nice to go about life, to create memories. I think it's like photographs. You take a photograph and you look back at it 20 years time, and on the day when you take the photo of that selfie of yourself, you think, oh my God, my hair's looking bad, or I'm looking rough, or I'm not shaven, or whatever. But then 20 years later you look back and you actually appreciate what you looked like 20 years before. And I suppose what we're trying to do is create memories, so when we're old and we're grey and we're sort of past it, sitting with the grandchildren on our knee, we can turn around and say, do you remember the day I did a Sahara trek for Marie Curie, and just knowing that you've helped somebody. And it's just I've always had that sort of charitable thing. I was part of Rotary Club for nearly 6 years, which I'm going to go back to at some point, and just being that charitable person, I think, is important for your soul, I think.
What's made you that charitable person? What was it like growing up for yourself?
So I had an interesting upbringing, which there's a radio interview out there that you can get hold of, which is it goes into detail about that. But I had an interesting upbringing where I sort of like had to run away from sort of parenting and stuff like that, because it was quite tough times back then. I went into the army. I came out of the army and sort of like made a bit of a balls up there sort of thing. And then one day I just went a bit nuts. I'd been back out of the army for about 2 weeks. I went to Digbeth coach station. I had about 20 quid in my pocket, and I just bought the first ticket to go on the first coach to go the first place destination that coach was going. And I didn't know what I was going to do when I got there. I just needed to escape and just needed to get away from the stuff. I was a 20-year-old lad and 21-year-old lad, and then I ended up in Bournemouth. And then I got there and I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And I ended up, unfortunately, sleeping in a box for 6 months in Westover Road until I had a bit of help and a bit of grit about me back then. And when you're growing up and you're being told you're useless all the time, it's sort of in the back of your head that you're useless. You can either be a victim of that, or you can actually use that and better yourself. And I'm certainly not a victim. So I bettered myself and got going really. So
it's clear you've come a long way then in these years. And how do you think you've got to this stage? What, I guess, business, and how have you got into this comfortable position?
It's an interesting question. That it's I think it's just looking forward all the time. And again, you can be two things in life, and I really believe you're either a victim or you can succeed. And I've always been that I will succeed sort of person, because too many people can play that victim, and it's not me. And I wasn't the sort of person to say when I was on the streets. I wasn't that person asking for money. I was the person that went to the soup kitchen. I wasn't entitled at all. I went to the soup kitchen and they gave me enough food to live for the day, and I wouldn't go begging for money or begging for food. And I met this guy who really helped me, and he paid the deposit on a bed sit for me, because in them days, if you're in a catch-22 situation, if you had no address, you couldn't claim benefits. And if you can't claim benefits, you can't get enough money to get an address. So it was a catch-22, and that's what it was like in the that was what it was like in the early 1990s. So then I got this bed sit with this guy. He sort of like helped me out, and he paid the deposit. A really good Christian guy. And the next day I went knocking doors, just walking around Bournemouth, knocking doors, saying, "Have you got a job? Have you got a job? Have you got a job?" 100, after knocking about 100 doors, I was given an opportunity in a little printing shop, just doing, cleaning up and folding like menus after they were printed, and using the guillotine and basically just cutting business cards and stuff. And then from there, I found it very difficult to work for somebody, I suppose, and I went from job to job. I did jump a few jobs because I'm quite independent, and then I set up my own business in 1999, and obviously it's 22 years later, and the business is still going really strong.
So well connected, and I guess well connected in this area, the Solihull area, and you now find yourself sort of involved at Solihull Moors and the foundation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say Becky's a lovely person. And we've met well before, obviously before she came to the foundation. And I believe what the foundation is doing is giving opportunities to people who can't generally afford these things. And I think the whole idea of everyone does things for the big charities, the cancer charities and the homeless charities, but people sometimes overlook the charities that aren't in the mainstream, that aren't, that out there. When I did the Marie Curie cancer thing, I'm sure they really appreciated it. But who does things for like the local scout hut? Who does things for the local school that can't afford something? So I think what this is doing is giving opportunities to everybody, from all walks of life. So
let's talk about the 1,000-mile walk. How did it start and how's it going?
Oh my God, you want to have this? This is I have these bonkers moments. And obviously COVID kicked in last year, and I set up a community page where I live in a local area called Quinton, and I set up this page, and we got like 3,500 people members now, and it was set up just for people not to feel lonely in lockdown. We do have a Quinton page already, and it was sort of like, it wasn't as engaged as I would like it to have been. So I created this new page called the Quinton page, and from that, the Quinton page, I passed that on to people. Say, how have you got it working so well? And it's because you involve other people. We've got 20 moderators on that page, and we all are a team, and we all do it together. So I branched that off into a walking group, and I created a walking group called Quinton Walks, and basically we set up a walking group for people to get together and get people out of the house into green spaces and to enjoy what we have, because people don't even realise what's on our doorstep. And I was taking people in our local area on walks through Woodgate, all through Quinton, on the border of Quinton to Halsall Inn. I was taking them up the Ely Way. We had day trips to the Wyre Forest, to Licky Hills, to Earlswood Lakes, and all these people had never actually been to these places. And I find it really strange that and they really appreciated it. And the walking group is in suspense at the moment because obviously new legislation, new rules, but we're counting the days. We've only got a few days left, and we can actually start walking in sixes again. They're all absolutely really looking forward to this, and so it's all about community. I think everything's about, for me, it's all about community and everybody just doing their bit, really. I've recently started to become, I've become the chairperson for our local community for, it's called the Quinton Conversation, and we have lots and lots of groups in Quinton for people, what people doing, like the Labour and Conservative and Liberals, and they've got tours, and you've got all these different groups all helping in Quinton, but no one actually talks about what they do for Quinton. So we set up this Quinton Conversation, which is local community members all doing stuff, and what are you doing for the area? And I think that's really, really important. Community is so important.
So this is all about getting as many people involved as possible, and we're building up to the Moors Falls in June, and quite a bit different to your walk. We're doing 4 miles every 4 hours. So how long will your 1,000 miles take?
Oh my God. Well, I woke up at a bonkers moment. I saw this leaflet and I was like, shall I do this? And it said a 1,000 mile walk, and I was very flippant, and I went, oh, that'll be really easy. That'll be so easy, I can do that. I'm sure I did 1,000 miles. When you actually work it out, you take bad days out, bad weather days, and days where you don't feel like walking. You're probably going to have to do it's consistently 5 miles every day for a year. And that's when you doesn't sound a lot until you start doing it, and I've been out this morning, I've done a walk this morning, I'm doing a walk this afternoon, but I'm just trying to get some miles in at the moment, because it's a lot more than I thought. It's going to be a tough challenge, but I'm hoping to finish this by October.
And how can people get involved? I guess you want as many people to maybe contact you when it's safe to do so and join you on the walks.
I'd love that. If people want to come and walk in 1s, 2s, 6s, that'd be really, really good. Just to do maybe a 5 mile part of the journey, a 6 mile, a 10 mile walk. I've got plenty of people walking me at the moment, and I have got a hashtag, if I'm allowed to mention that. It's hashtag, it's Basey 1000, BASEY 1000, and it's on all social media. You can find that and what I've done so far. But I'd like to obviously but walk with lots and lots of people. Donations are always welcome, because obviously the donations means that the foundation get much funds that they need to do their projects. And
just finally, you touched on it there, the foundation. How much pride and pleasure does it give you to see the money going to a really good cause? Brilliant.
I mean, just to see kids play football or sport, and and just give an opportunity to everybody just to see what they can just enjoy. Enjoy green spaces and enjoy sport and leisure. I think it's brilliant.